Hi everyone and welcome back. So our cake has been in the fridge for about half an hour to an hour now to firm out the outside of the icing. There is still a few little holes and there is still some unevenness, but this is the second coating where we can make that all even and just polish it up and make it nice and sharp. So we want to do the same process again. I will generally use my spatula to do this. And I will dollop a whole lot of icing on the top. And I work my way from the top down to the bottom. And don't be worried by all of this icing because we will end up scraping a lot of it off to even it out. So just work that icing around in circles by moving your spatula as well as the cake board or your turntable around and just flattening off that top first. Now all of this lip of icing, that's where we'll start pushing that down around the sides. Just keep going until you've got all the icing down. If you haven't quite put enough icing on the cake, you can just scrape out a little bit more with your spatula and put that on the side. So I'm just moving that icing all the way down to the base. And this is where you want to take your time and make sure that you fill in any little pockets or empty spaces that could be lurking about. Once you've done that, we'll use our cake scraper. Again, I choose to use an acrylic one. So again, we're going to put the very base of that scraper down onto the bottom of your cake board and just have a slight pressure downwards, and that will help keep you straight. And then just scrape around the sides. And then scrape any excess off. Now again, you'll probably see, or you may or may not see, I've got a little bit of a gap around the top. So I'll just get a little bit more icing and I'll just put that back on just to smooth it all out and fill in all those gaps. Get my cake scraper again. Now you want to put a little bit of pressure on the side, not too much, but just a little bit, just so you can push any of that icing into any spaces that might be there. Once you're happy with the sides, now of course you can keep going, keep filling in more icing and scraping it back until you're happy that all of the spots are filled. If you want to go for a semi-naked cake, then just scrape back a little bit more just so you can see the edges of the cake itself. When we go around to the top of this cake, this is where we'll use the edge to center technique. So we'll have our cake scraper horizontal and we'll just go from the edge into the center. And as you can see, I've taken the lip off of that and made a nice flat surface on the edge there. So again, edge very lightly in towards the center, scrape it off, turn your cake, edge into the center, scrape that off, and then edge into the center, scrape it off. One last little bit. And there you have a lovely iced level cake ready for any decoration or any drips or any cake toppers, or just perfect just on its own. If you want to coat this with any fondant, I would suggest putting it in the fridge again and leaving it either overnight or at least for a couple of hours to make sure that that icing sets even harder, so you don't have any mistakes, or you don't end up putting divots into the icing and it fall away. So that's really important. Cleaning up the edge of this, there's a couple of ways to do it. You can grab your scraper again. You want to, instead of having it this way, put it down this way so you've got your nice sharp edge downwards on top of the cake board. Go at a 45-degree angle and just put some pressure down on that corner and scrape all of that excess icing off of that board, turning your cake, getting as close to the edge of that cake as possible, taking off any excess, and just keep continuing until you are happy with all of that icing that's come off that board. The other way that you can do it is get some really clean paper towel that's slightly damp and just wipe around in the same way. I hope you've enjoyed that, and thank you for tuning in.